Whoa. We're back. Another month. Seemingly unending roundtable.
That's kind of the definition of a circle, right? Unending.
Right.
Hey, wait. First off, Happy New Year.
Hey.
Hey.
Speaking of Mazel Tov, we got Ben Herskowitz up top. We got Mike Monaco over there. Got Bob Herskowitz. Oh my God, that's so good. Bob Cosignano.
Welcome to the tribe.
We got Bob Cosignano. We got Jeff Z. How are you, baby? And we got our special guest, Ron Huffman, the always present, benevolent, altruistic, for the good of the men guy. I love him. How are you?
I'm doing fine.
Oh,
I
awesome.
appreciate the invite.
Wouldn't think without you. It's a great time. We had a great time last month, kicking
Yes.
the hive, if you would, and we're looking to continue that whole thing. Anybody got anything going on before we get in that?
Where do we start?
Well, the conference schedule is
Yeah,
started.
I've been doing the conference stuff all day, so I'll talk about conference stuff.
Do we want to talk? Do we want to talk about our winners now, Bobby? Or you want to wait till the end?
Yeah, you know what? Let's do this. We got all right. So I apologize. I can't be on the screen. I'll figure out what the hell I did. Last month I was on. This month I'm not on. I'm obviously here. But we have 3, right? So we have the happy hour, which if you just showed up to the meeting, you were entered, and there was people in there multiple times. And then me and Mike, we donated, and Travis, we donated 2 spots for the Southernmost Hazmat Conference. So there's 3 spots in total being drawn tonight. Bob, you want to do the 2 from your side?
I will do the 2 for the roundtable. We have, drum roll, please.
Please, yeah. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, that's gone. Whatever. Gavin DeGrave from the Johnson Fire. He's a fire chief now. Congratulations, Mr. Gavin. Longtime friend of ours and friend of the show and whatnot. And we have Sean Cox from Beaver County Hazmat. Ben, I think you said that was in PA.
Yep, that's the western side of PA.
Mr.
So
Beaver County.
Those are the 2 from the roundtable side.
And we have one. He was surprisingly, he was in pretty much every single roundtable for the entire year, because I said, "Why are you always here?" He's like, "Because I want to go to the conference." He won it. Greg LaRue. Greg LaRue from Halifax.
Yes.
He actually won it.
Yeah, well,
He had
look.
Yeah, I think he was scamming it because he kept coming in and out of the room, so he was in like 37 times.
He figured out the system.
Yeah, he's
Look forward to seeing him.
Yeah, so we will email you guys tomorrow. I believe I have everybody's email. There is cash. I don't know if it'll cover the entire thing, but it's a good head start, and we're looking forward to seeing you guys down there in sunny Key West, Florida. Good times.
Weather's looking good so far.
Yeah, so far. And then the hurricane.
Does it ever get bad? I mean,
it'll beat our weather.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. You will be able to flip flops. You may have to wear a hoodie. Well, maybe not that far south.
Yeah.
We still have snow on the ground, so it's going to be better than that.
Better.
Yes.
Vapor pressure is down.
Vapor pressure is down.
So it's good. So, all right. Anybody got anything before we get rolling?
Nope.
All right. Good talk. All right, let's go.
Not really.
All right, Mike, let it rip.
All right. First question. Back in June of, I think June 3rd, the IAFF put out a statement against using fire blankets for EV fires. They actually said that they don't want any of their members to use a fire blanket in any way, shape, or form. So the IAFF strongly urges fire service members not to deploy the blanket for fire suppression efforts when responding to EV fires. Rational, irrational, good thing, bad thing? What are we thinking?
100% rational.
Good and bad.
100% rational. Really?
I think so.
Okay.
And
I think
I
the last
say that
person that looked at that statement was a lawyer.
I think because of the, there was testing that was done that caused a little incident. And then if I'm not mistaken, maybe up north New York, they actually used it on an incident. And because of the gases that built up, there was some type of ignition and I don't want to call it, I don't want to say explosion, but for lack of a better term, that's basically what it was.
It's like a very light deflagration.
There you go. Perfect. Yes.
All right, so we've got one pro IAFF statement.
I think it's debatable because if you
Well, that's why
cover
we're
the
here.
car, well, if you cover the car and you protect the surroundings, exposures, and then don't uncover it for whatever that period of time is to where things have cooled off, then you've maybe protected a parking garage, a structure. Uh, but yes, I fully believe that you can build some flammable gases underneath the blanket. I think it comes more down to when you open it up and when you give it access to air.
I get where they're coming from, and I'm not claiming to be the smartest guy in the room. But the firefighting equivalent would be like we had a bad experience with horizontal ventilation once, and so now we're not going to do any horizontal ventilation because we had this bad experience. I think if you aren't aware of what can happen with ill-timed ventilation or inappropriately placed ventilation, yeah, you can have a bad time. And I imagine that you can have similar situations occur with a blanket. But again, I'll be a broken record. My favorite thing about the changes to I'll call them the hazmat rules, is this risk-based response. Okay, so there's a risk in the fire blanket. Cool. Thank you for bringing it to our attention. Let's have an open discussion about it. Let's figure out where that risk fits and then decide when it's appropriate to use and when it's not appropriate to use, when it's appropriate to take the risk, when it's not appropriate to take the risk. Like, for example, okay, there's a risk of deflagration or even explosion, but I got a guy trapped in the car next to it. Am I better or worse deploying the blanket to buy me time? Everything I'm doing is risky. I should be wearing my PPE. I think that it's one of those things where better discussion is better than just outright banning.
Jay-Z?
Jeff?
I would have a tendency to agree with you. What Ben said. I think if you understand the risks involved with it, and know that it can do what it can do, but you have it in case you have that situation where you need it, such as Ron said. It's a coordinated attack. I mean, you can do it just knowing the risks. The problem is that a lot of people just do it because they think it's going to be that's going to solve the problem. And you got to know that that's not necessarily going to solve the problem. And there's other things you have to do. There's risk involved with it, and you have to have other tactics that go with it. So I understand, like Ben said, I understand where they're coming from, but it probably could have its uses in certain situations.
Bobby?
Okay, I'm going to disagree. Though we did a podcast that was initially interpreted as a poo-pooing of the blankets, we subsequently did an episode saying we're not against the blankets. And I'm very much in favor of saying that there are many tools that you need to do hazmat, right? For example, like you can shit on the I don't know what you guys call it, the hydroram, the bunny tool, the trucks use it, a little hydraulic tool that pops open doors. Okay.
Right.
People, you ask a modern truckie, is this a good tool? And they go, yeah, it's the best thing in the world. It works only 50% of the time. It works on doors that are open away from you and nothing else. And so you think it's a great tool.
Panther Cologne.
Like Panther Cologne. It works 50% of the time it works every shot.
Every time.
Right? So but the thing is like I don't only need a axe to be a truckie. I need a ton of tools to do this thing. And so as a hazmat tech, I think that you need multiple tools. You need, maybe the blanket is an exposure control device. Maybe I need a powder. I need a foam. I need a fan. I need a fog line. I need a whole bunch of tools to do my thing. I think one of the things that's being conflated with the blankets is that if you take a candle and I put a cap over the top of it, the fire will go out. And you ask the reason why is because, well, it snuffed itself out. The candle consumed the oxygen, and we all understand this as common sense kind of thing. But the problem with the batteries is it's playing by a different set of rules. And if you put a candle cover or a blanket on top of this, it's not taking the oxygen because the batteries are bringing oxygen. So only thing that cover is doing is it's taking care of the class A/B fires and not that class battery fire. I don't know what the hell you call it. It's not even class B. It's not even class C. It's class battery.
Class 10. It's class
So
10.
what if you
10
use
battery.
what if you use the battery just on the exposure or the blanket on the exposures only?
Well,
That's yeah. Go ahead, Mike.
yeah. So that in dovetailing off, because I just happen to know that me and Bob have a very similar opinion on this. You know, that's exactly right. Like, what if? What if? What if? Right? So many, like, when we look back on the tactics of hazmat, the tactics of fire, the tactics of confined space, I want to ask myself, who developed these tactics? Like, were we sitting around like a firehouse one day with horses, and the NFPA came, knocked on the door, and were like, "Hey guys, here's how you're gonna do this job." Or, you know, the UL came in and said, "Hey guys, we figured out how your job gets done. We figured out how you should use this tool. Here you go." Or did we firefighters collectively figure out how to use the tools in our toolbox?
Yeah.
I think it's
Which-
a little bit of both.
That's
And
the
I
answer is
think-
yes.
I think we killed a lot of people trying to figure it out.
We
Oh,
did
I
kill a
agree.
lot of people, but ultimately the IFF only tells us what to do because we told, not the IFF, the NFPA only tells us what to do because we've told the NFPA what we want to be told what to do.
Right.
Right?
It's a big circle.
It's a big circle.
Yep.
It's a giant circle. And by eliminating or really pushing to eliminate the use of a tool, instead of, and I think Ben, you said it first, instead of saying, "Hey guys, we found a possible limitation or a possible danger, please execute caution when using this because of this," we've now eliminated the number of times that the fire departments are going to be using the tool and then reporting their results back to the community, because no
One of the-
organization is going to do enough tests to be able to say this is what works. It's
One of the
community.
problems that I'm hearing is that, well, I heard this, and it's almost inevitably when you track that back, it gets to somebody that's selling it,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
right?
100%.
And if you
Lobbyist.
open up, I tell this to new guys all the time, because open up your fire coat and read the label that's in the inside right arm of the thing. It says firefighting is an unavoidably ultra hazardous occupation. There are not, like, the guy that hand feeds, great whites and puts fuses into dynamite are the only other two that I know of that have that thing. So, like, we do some dangerous shit. Risk-based, I get it. But at some point, we got to stop safetying the safety and then safety in the safety. You got to go over the edge.
How about this? Put the fire out.
Right.
Water still puts out fires. And I'll use this example. You have an EV in a garage. It's on fire. You dispatch a car fire in a garage. Are you going to go throw a blanket on it? Probably not. Are you going to stretch a hose and put the fire out? Yes. Then you're going to hook up the car, yank it out of the garage, and your job is done. We are emergency responders. Our the responding part stops when the emergency is over. When the fire's out, we're done.
Well,
This becomes somebody else's problem as far as I'm concerned.
I think the
another
difficulty with that thought process, Bob, is that the water isn't putting it out. Like, it'll put out the.
I'm talking about the initial, the
Right,
fire's
like,
knocked down, it's out,
the-
and then you may have the undercarriage to deal with the thermal runaway and so on. But if you get it knocked down enough to where you can pull it out of the structure, now you don't have to worry about the structure anymore. You have something in a driveway, in a wherever.
Mhm.
If you've got a straight shot, I agree with you 100%. But what happens when you get that car fire that's 3 levels down in a parking garage? Now
Okay.
you have zero visibility. You have a fire that, you can put out the plastic that's burning within, I guess, what we would consider the contents of the cabin.
Sure. Yeah.
But you're not actually putting out the base of the fire. Like, you're not able to knock it down. You're not able to do it. It's reacting violently. It's reacting in a way that is completely unpredictable. You have a zero visibility situation, and you have a multiple turn drag out that you would have to do. So the drag out part becomes not an option. So our only option is that it's there, right?
Mhm.
And we've got all these different tools, undercarriage, deployment tools, which I don't think they actually work to put out the fire, but I think they have a place. The blankets don't actually put out a fire, but they actually have a place. And we don't know that place unless departments are free to experiment with these tools and then report back to the community and be like, hey, this is what we figured out. This is what we found.
But the problem that I'm seeing talking to different people, and this is where my thought comes in, is that they're taking the fire blanket as the primary tool to put the fire out.
Trying to sell
No, it's
Instead
a
of
thought
ins-
tool.
instead of just taking a hose line, because first off, do you even know it's involving the batteries? It may not be.
Is that
It
the
may be something
blankets?
totally different.
Is that the blanket's fault?
No, that's
Like-
a training fault.
Right, it's a training fault. So
100%.
do you then? But so you said in the beginning that you agree with it. You would ban the blanket. Is it the blanket's fault that people are attempting to use it in a way that it's not that it's not intended to be used, but that it will not work properly? And do you take it off and then you eliminate finding a great use for this tool?
Well, even what it's intended for versus not intended for is just a liability thing.
That's true too.
Right. Yep.
You know, oh, it's not intended for this. It's because that's liable for us. I don't want to say we could do that.
Right.
You know, I can't make a
That
hot
comes
air
into a
balloon
lot of
out of it.
products.
Yeah, that's all it is.
Yeah.
It's all about
I-
CYA.
I think people are overthinking the process. We got to go back to some basics, like some old school shit. Put water on the fire. Put it out. Then worry about getting it out of the parking garage, up high, down low, whatever the case is. There's departments out there now that are getting the rollers that tow trucks use to jack under the wheels and actually move the car around. Do you need to go buy that, or do you need to just have a wrecker on standby? You know, I mean, that's a call you'll have to make. But I
I
think
just
they're
think-
overdoing it.
I think a lot of this is also the education of the education process. We are terrible, and the AI and the internet is making this worse. We are terrible at understanding data. Survivor bias, right? If you're familiar with that, World War II, they have a guy, they give him an outline of a plane. They're like, we're getting our asses kicked by the Germans. Go out and mark every place you find a bullet hole, and we're going to put armor there to make sure that our guys have a better chance. You familiar with this story?
Yes.
Yes.
Right?
Mhm.
And then they go and he says, no, put it where the bullet holes aren't, because what you have is I've drawn you a map of where a plane can be shot and make it back. And so we see something, and then we try to assign it a value within a study, and then we don't account for any variables, and so we come up with the wrong conclusion, and then I think that's some of the overreaction is we have a very small pool of things, and if we ban it right away, to Mike's point, we're not going to get any more data about it. And then we also sometimes we stop looking deeper, like, okay, well, is there anything else that we can do? I'm not saying, back in the day, I remember, sucking chest wounds, right? You're supposed to burp stuff. Is there a burp process? I'm not saying there is. I'm not saying there isn't. I'm just saying, like, those are the types of questions that I think are warranted to look into a project deeper, not just say, we have this problem, therefore it's always bad. I think that
So
we're supposed
has anybody
to be,
looked at where the batteries actually break open? Because the inside of the car is a metal box. Any heat that gets in there sets the class A combustibles, class B combustibles, whatever, whatever. But is anybody looking at where the batteries actually break open to see where the water application would be beneficial? Because we can put out the seats. We can put out all that stuff inside the car very easily. I'm a big fan of a cellar nozzle. I love a cellar nozzle. We don't use them enough in attics. If you want to put out an attic, cut a little hole in the roof, drop a cellar nozzle in, and the fire goes out. In a car, are you getting water to all the places you need to get water? And when you put water underneath, you're blowing water up on his battery, but are we really getting to where the battery's splitting open? Has anybody studied where the battery split?
I I think that answer to that is very dependent, situationally dependent, where
I
the
don't
failure
disagree.
is, where,
Yeah.
where so
Impact.
I don't think there'll ever be a singular answer of like, oh, if we have a fire, go to this spot on the car, and that's the failure point.
Hey,
I
hey,
would
Mike.
Like I say, you put the fire out inside, but then you get the fire underneath, which is the battery.
Hey, Mike. So who put this out? It was the
That was the union, the IAFF.
union.
Yep.
Okay, they said we don't want them to use it, which is it's not like OSHA, it's not a law, right?
No.
It's just
Not at all.
it's a guideline. So it's the same as the NSPA. So here's the thing.
Well,
Here,
For them,
here,
it's a suggestion.
it is a suggestion, but it's a suggestion from an organization that holds the ability to put feet to the fire of the employers, right?
Sure.
So if the locals want to push this, they can turn around and be like, this equipment, like the union is against this equipment, like we're going to push to not have it used.
Right. So my point, and I think what Ron and Ben were saying as well, is that uh, you use it and you justify how you use it. So here's the thing: it's just another tool, like Bobby said. It's just another tool, and I think one of the biggest things is first of all we identify whether this is a battery that's on fire or just a car fire, because battery operated cars do catch on fire, obviously, that don't involve a battery. If it just involves the car, it's a standard car fire. If it involves the battery, then you have the process of using all the stuff that's given to you, whether it's you're using one of the Cobra cutters to cut the battery up, you're going to use a fire blanket, you're going to just let it burn, you're going to protect exposures. It's better to have all that stuff available and use the tactic that's best for that situation. So to me, it's just a guideline. It's like everything else. It's like my wife. Like my wife says. When it says something on the pill bottle, it says to take one. She goes, I take three. And I said, it says take one, and she goes, that's just a guideline. Don't worry about it. So you use all your tools to the best of your ability, what fits the situation.
Well, and I'll throw another point in there for the opposite of what I said at the beginning, because there are departments. There's one that I know of that let an EV burn because they saw it was an EV. They saw smoke and fire coming from the vehicle. They couldn't tell where, and they let it burn. And the woman that was driving it was losing her mind. Oh no, we're going to let them burn. And this is out there. People say let them burn. I've even been one of the proponents that said that. Even the companies have said that. The problem was it was a laptop on the passenger seat.
Mhm.
And
Right.
instead of going and just putting the fire out, like I said in the beginning, they let the thing burn. So you can go from one end of the spectrum to the other easily.
You can, but in the same respect, what are they? Yeah, because then you could say the same thing with a regular car. Like, what are they saving? It's a burnt up metal that's for insurance. So, which do you err on the side of?
Yep.
All right.
And I think I remember somebody, before you go to the next question, I think I remember somebody saying we're building the plane as we fly it.
Yes, we are.
Mhm.
Right, exactly. So how can you say you don't want to use a tool because we're building it as we fly it? We don't 100% know. So we should proceed with caution when something like that comes out, but we should still learn how to fly the plane.
So pull it temporarily, because we've had some guys get hurt, find out how and why they got hurt, and then maybe from that say, okay, you should use it in this instance or that instance and not this one.
But
Because right now there's departments that are
but
going
that's
EV fire, throw the blanket on.
That's exactly my point right there. I want to absolutely 100% touch on what you just said. Let's pull it until we figure out. If we pull it, we don't figure out, because it's not the IAFF figuring out. It's not UL figuring out. It's not IAFC, BYD, FBI, whatever other nonsense. They're not figuring it out. We are figuring it out. As the first responder using it, we're the ones figuring it out. So you can't pull something and then wait for somebody else to tell us how to use a tool that nobody else understands.
No, I'm not suggesting that somebody else figure it out. We need to figure it out. But in the interim, under testing, like you guys did a lot of testing, great testing, which by the way, I'm going to give a quick plug. If you guys have never watched their battery busters, you guys need to do the podcast for the Hazmat Guys Battery Busters. Because that dispelled a lot of myths and things that people just didn't understand. So my point is, pull it for now until we, a group, whomever, does some more testing and says, hey, use it for this, not for that. Instead
the dilemma
of
is who wants, and I'm not just playing devil's advocate. Like I said, I think the last person that looked at that statement was a lawyer, and a lot of these organizations are going to be hesitant. I mean, the
I
best
wasn't
way,
one, but I slept in a Holiday Inn last night.
the best way in reality to figure all of this out is for everyone to be willing and open to talk 100% about every call we've had involving batteries and say, this worked, this didn't work. But why will that not happen? Because some solicitor somewhere says, well, we can't talk about that because that may expose us to liability. And that's true. And that's the problem is we're always going to be operating with an incomplete data set. And so occasionally we'll come to the wrong conclusion. That's it. Full stop.
So
And
if you own them, right? If you own one, I wouldn't take it off truck. I'd treat it as a salvage cover.
Mm.
If you treat it as a salvage cover and use it to protect something else until we figure out what we can do as far with the actual vehicle on fire.
Yeah.
Use it as a salvage cover. Use it to block it from something else because we know it won't burn.
right.
Let
You're
me- I'm gonna throw-
you're describing answering the question as an essay as opposed to how the fire service is currently training people, which is multiple choice.
Let me throw one last thing in there because I know Mike's got multiple questions to come. When we have a salesperson come to the firehouse to sell us hazmat stuff, what do? Do we run them through the gauntlet? Do we take their stuff and run it through the gauntlet before we purchase it or put it on the rig?
In the
That's all
early
I'm saying.
2000s, we bought everything.
Well,
Yeah.
when
Everything.
grant money was flowing, we
Because
bought
we
all
had
kinds
money.
of shit.
It's a
And we
little
figured
tough.
out- we
It's a
figured
little
out about
tough to light
later.
an EV car on fire and do R&D, right? Which is, these events are not that common. So, it's, nobody's sacrificing their personal vehicle to be like, hey, let me see if this fucking thing works.
But is it tough to do because there are companies out there that will do it?
No, it costs too much. Just write an
Yeah.
SOG on it for your hazmat guy and your operations guy. Get together, write an SOG on it. Make sure it's an SOG, not an SOP, and then just stand by that. And then use it when you feel like it's necessary, but know the risks of it. That's hey, you know what? I don't.
That's the
think
key
anyone's
right
gonna
there. Know what the risks are.
Yeah, I don't think any. If you know it has a possibility of gathering explosive gases and going off, just say, hey, we got to have a little perimeter around here and stand by that perimeter. And if you're going to take the blanket off, understand that you may have some risk involved with it, but hey, it's like Bobby said, it's a dangerous job.
So here's
You knew the
an
job was
thought
dangerous
for
when
you.
you took it. Super
What
Chicken,
if
I
you-
think, said that.
What if you covered a car with it, got it all knocked down, but instead of opening it up to let air in, you stuck the nozzle on a CO2 extinguisher underneath it, started blowing the smoke and gases out without introducing oxygen?
I don't know what blanket manufacturer said this, but there was talk of comboing up a blanket with an under car deluge kind of sprinkler wet willy thing that you put under the car, right? And they were like, absolutely not. Do not do that. And however, multiple companies that have done this have said it works fantastically.
Yeah.
So now it comes down to the manufacturer of the blanket is saying, do not do this. And companies are saying this works. And a great example of this, like a Halligan, it's designed to open doors. You can, in the world of nails, everything's a hammer. Like we get crazy creative with Halligans, and now it's a bailout tool, and now we can open up scuttles, and now we can open,
Yep.
and there's a million things you can do.
It's my substantial object. It's my climbing
Yeah.
tool. Yeah.
It's a step stool. It's a freaking you can bring kill dogs with it, whatever. But the thing is like the blanket comboed with things that we aren't even exploring because the manufacturer explicitly says not to it. The nozzle guy says don't do it, and yet we're so bold as to try it. and seen good results. And so now it comes down to, do you go against the manufacturer? You know, like
Yes.
It's that big
do you-
L word.
Yeah.
because a lot, but is it
Lawyer.
liability for us? Because, you know, if you think about it go back to when you were a fireman, right? And you said, well, it's against the manufacturer. Did you give two shits of what the manufacturer said to do or not to do with it? You're like,
Nope.
I do what I want.
Well, I mean, think about it, right? If you ask the manufacturer of a Halligan tool, hey, can I use this for a substantial object in a window to bail out of?
Right. They'd
Right?
be nodding their
they'd
head
be
and
like,
saying
"Fuck
no.
no. Yet,
No, you can't do that.
No,
Yeah.
you cannot.
all right.
Right?
Good one, Mike.
Speaking of things that you can and cannot do, I wasn't even aware of this until just recently, but I'd love your guys' thought process on it. Jeff, I'll probably shoot to you first, see what your thoughts are, and we'll go around. Flaring off acetylene.
Hmm.
What is your
I-
thought processes on doing a flaring job off of an acetylene cylinder?
Well, I think Ron said something about this the other day, didn't you, Ron?
I did.
Yeah, and you know, I don't know, with the flammable range of acetylene, I don't know. I don't think there's maybe I'm mistaken, but I don't think there's anything that is built for that
Well,
exact
there's a
that
couple of ways to look at it. One, uh, and as a manufacturer of a flare, I tell everybody don't flare acetylene at full tank pressure because after 15 psi, acetylene loses its mind, right?
What
It
do you
just
mean? What do you mean at tank pressure? Can you?
so
I'm not
if you
quite
don't
sure.
have a
I'm not
regulator
following.
on it, because the fitting on a acetylene cylinder is a CGA 510. It's the same as a POL. So you could screw your POL fitting out of your propane system right into the top of a acetylene cylinder, which means that you could open it up and run full tank pressure right through your hose, which is going to exceed the 15 pound of pressure unless you're monitoring it somehow. Chances are
Okay.
they're not. So the post that I saw the other day, they're talking about flaring acetylene, and I just shared some information online in reference to acetylene and the dangers of it. I didn't say they were doing it wrong. I didn't say they were doing it right. I just said, guys, if you're going to do this, you've got to follow these rules, which means keep it below 15 psi. So they did everything right, but they just didn't post. The person that was posting it just forgot to put in there that they were running it through a regulator. They were keeping it below 15 psi in a safe range, because realistically, I can take my torch downstairs in the shop, open up the acetylene and light the tip of it. And I'm doing the exact same thing. I'm flaring acetylene. Now, the propane hoses will work with acetylene. My biggest concern about using propane hoses is basically volume. When
Right.
you're doing acetylene systems, you're talking about small volumes in these hoses. You get in a propane hose and you're in 1/2 inch hose, 3/4, 1 inch hose. You got a lot of volume in that hose.
At that point, that hose becomes a tank.
Yeah, it is. I mean, depending on how far away you are and the distance you're running, all that stuff, you've got a lot of volume in there. But there again, you've got to keep the pressure down below that 15 psi as it leaves the tank. And if you're using a regulator, even if you shut a valve off in the system, the pressure in the system will not exceed 15 psi because the regulator is managing that. So even if you shut it down, it's still going to be at 15 or less. And I would try to stay around 10, 11, 12. When we run the torches in the shop, the other thing is on acetylene, you should have a backflow arrestor or a flame arrestor in that system, because if it does flash, you want that flash arrestor to stop that flow from going back up the hose, because the acetylene will burn its way all the way back. So
so
yes, you can, and there are products that you can run through a propane system, but just look at compatibilities. Is the products that my hoses are made out of compatible with the products I'm trying to flare? Had a guy call me one time. He was flaring rail cars and accidentally set the rail car on fire inside the rail car. He was flaring a flammable product, but then he was purging it with air, pushing the product out. And
Gotcha.
what happened was when it got right in the hose, it just ran back up the hose and set the rail car on fire inside. So we built him a flash arrestor, something that would stop the flame from going the other direction, just a gravity operated check valve. So it couldn't do that. But yes, the acetylene, you can, but you got to do it right. And they did. The fire department down, I think it was in North Carolina, someplace down there. They did it right. They really did. But we just didn't have all the information from the original post.
What would be the situation surrounding a decision to flare acetylene? Because when I look at chemical physical properties and I look at the weight and all this other stuff, it makes a lot of sense to me to kind of leave it alone and let it just kind of vent out and vent into the open and let the cylinder do its thing. What would be a scenario or situation that you can think of that you would turn around and be like, this is the ideal situation to flare an acetylene tank?
Time. They had a tank that was leaking around the threads on the valve.
Okay.
And my guess is once they called the fire department in, the fire department couldn't leave. So we can either stand here for 2 days while this thing bleeds off, or we can flare it.
Why not just open it?
You could,
You
but there
could.
again, you need to open it through the regulator. Because if you open it up just straight out, now you're running full tank pressure through the valving system. You want to keep, when it starts leaving that tank and going to atmosphere, now you've got high pressure mixing with air,
Okay.
right? So you could vent to atmosphere. Another option, when you have something at a commercial facility, call whoever supplies your oxygen and your acetylene. Say, hey, we got a tank leaking. They'll probably just come pick it up and take it back to their shop. Now,
I
Can
actually
they?
have. Yeah, right. That's another thing. Can they transport it? I'm gonna
wait a
throw
minute,
up on
you
the screen.
transport illegally.
They
Yeah,
can put it in they can put it in a coffin,
Transport
right?
anything.
yeah.
Depends what city you're in.
No, you cannot put it in a coffin. It's a very special. It's a
Oh,
very weird.
oh.
I'm putting it. You guys are not going to be able to see it unless you watch it on social media. But I'm going to throw this up to there for the people. That is a unicorn image, of a you. That's an acetylene tank that's burning on the inside. That is a once in a career type operation where you actually get to see that in a thermal imaging camera. This is my actual photos. What happened was there was you could see the drying spot around the center of it. So when we were throwing water on it, it was burning on the inside, because it doesn't really need oxygen to burn.
No.
And the way we took care of this, and again, there wasn't an acetylene burn off kit at this point. We just threw water on it. It was a whatever the hell it was. It was a chop shop, and we were just left a 2.5 just running on it. And this is the way we put it to bed. We turned it
Just
upside
protect the
down in
metal.
a drum of water.
Yeah.
And it just bubbled itself dry. The acetylene bubbled through the water and went up and out, and the acetone dissolved in the water and became not a problem anymore. But that was before flares came out. Like that was OG. That was like when thermal.
Yeah.
Yeah, like horses just left.
There are a lot of products that you can run through a flare that technically aren't approved for the flare. But we're not going to we're going to just do the things we know we can do safely. Back to that, is it risk-based? We're going to do it now. I've done this for years. We know we can do this.
The 2 times I flared an acetylene kit, I just got another acetylene torch and just used obviously the cart
Yeah.
that they were on had been burnt, but just
Yeah,
got another one. It's designed for it. It's safely operating. And at the time, the thought was, at least I know where it's at. It's already on fire. I can see where it's on fire. I mean, I agree. It goes up in the atmosphere. I don't remember all the specifics, but we got into why don't we just in fact, the first one we did mistake, was we tried to put an A kit on it, and someone's like, wait, time out. Same reason, put it in it sounds great in theory.
Theoretically.
But if you carry the one, you're going to wind up with a bad day. And we were like, oh, yeah, we didn't think about that. And so then we had to take it apart, which carries its own risks. And then we're just like, what do we do? And we're like, well, we just connect the hose, go over here, light it on fire, and, you babysit that for however long it takes to burn.
Our guys let it burn and protected the exposures inside a warehouse.
Yeah. Well, an acetylene kit basically is nothing more than 1/4-inch pipe to Acme. Because all you got to do is unscrew the hose with everything shut off, put on a 1/4 inch pipe nipple with an Acme connector that goes to your flare, you have a complete acetylene kit right there. Now your regulator is managing the pressure and you're feeding it out through your flare. Now it's going to be black. It's going to be nasty as it comes out of the flare tip, right? So if EPA's in the area, they're not going to be happy. But a acetylene kit is kind of a misnomer. It's nothing more than a pipe nipple, or something that will thread into your regulator and go to Acme thread.
See,
Don't spend a bunch of money on one.
That says that the Wile E. Coyote had it all figured out with his Acme
Yeah.
purchases
There
way
you
back
go.
in the.
He was the
Way
man.
back.
He was a progressive guy. He was really in front
That's
of his time.
OG right there.
Yeah,
Blew a lot of
wait,
shit up.
but you know what? Like, that goes to another good point. Is that like the A kit? The A kit is quote unquote designed for chlorine responses, and I will tell you, I have used that for crazy amounts of things other than acetylene. We use it. Me and Mike used it on a overturned truck. I think a bus in Brooklyn where it was one of those cylinders on top of the bus, and it was like a 15-foot long cylinder, and we just used extension chains and we capped a natural gas cylinder with it. Works great.
Really?
Worked great. Yeah.
Oh yeah. We like
So
that thing is great for everything other than acetylene.
what's the pressure rating of that system?
Stunning. That's what I'll say. I don't know what it is, but it's a lot.
Okay. Well, from a guy that
At least
builds
4,500
systems
pounds.
under
I
pressure,
think it's greater than 85.
Oh no,
I know
I'm
it's,
gonna
it's way
say
greater than 85.
I'm
PSI.
gonna say we put Conan the Fireman on it, and it was in the thousands.
Nice.
well, your CNG cylinders are 3,600 plus, right?
Yeah,
So it needs to hold that.
yeah, I'm gonna say it was probably 3,000, 25 to 3,000 in that cylinder.
Yeah.
It held it, and it was, it wasn't quite farting around, but it wasn't hovercrafting either.
Yeah, I understand.
But also, I think sometimes, we let great be the enemy of good. We've had times where we used the kit just as a control. I want to collect all this. I know it's not going to hold right, so I'm going to leave the valve open, connect it to a hose, and redirect it to somewhere else that it's more advantageous
Sure.
for me.
Or slow
Whether
it
that be a
down.
bucket of water or wherever. Command post, the usual.
Some control.
And hopefully you didn't wait for a 3 or 4 letter agency to teach you that.
Yeah,
They know everything.
I think it's great. I think this is a good conversation that should be continued in your firehouse. And these types of disruption questions should be asked on a regular basis. And we're going to try to keep doing these things. We're going to keep trying to come up with questions that would quote unquote be controversial, maybe things that are wives' tales, things that you've been taught. And we're going to try to kick it in the ass and see if it still holds water after it, like myth busting, if you will.
Yes.
Ooh.
I like that. Well, thanks to Jay-Z for his last show. No, I'm joking. I'm totally joking. That was I just literally came up with that on top of my head. That was nothing. I was just joking. Thanks to Jeff, Bob, Kosh, Mike, Ben, and our great guest, Ron Huffman. Hopefully you'll be back soon.
Thank you.
Love to have you guys. A little bit longer show, but I think we filled the space.
Oh yeah, and then some.
Next month we
That's
got
what she
some
said.
more. Next month we got more scholarships to give away to some more conferences.
Yep.
Thank you to the sponsors up in the top left. Be sure to check them out and sponsor them. Get in there. Ron Huffman's one of the sponsors.
Yes, he is. Ron, you want to give a quick rundown of what you do?
You're here.
3-second elevator pitch.
Who
What
are
do
you?
got? Yeah,
You
who is
weirdo.
this guy?
So I started teaching, working on propane systems back in the mid '80s, and started traveling, teaching, providing propane equipment. I've done that for a very long time, and started traveling the country back in 2016. Did most of it all in the state of Indiana, so that's where I got my start. And now I'm running around the country. We're teaching all over the place. I'm booked all the way through November right now for this
Nice.
year. I've got multiple conferences we're going to be at. Got some new products that are coming out this year. We've got one older product that used to be produced that's no longer being produced, so we're going to bring it back. It gives the instructors a tool to work with. I'll have it down at Florida at the symposium. So
Excellent.
that and a couple other things that we're working on. water injection, different levels and different styles of water injection. So just doing a lot of stuff.
Now, is it also true that you happen to have your own classroom?
I do. We built a shop here on the property, and we're going to start teaching 2-day propane classes. And Tim Ferretti is coming down. He's doing his CNG, his alternative fuel vehicle class here. I got a guy coming out of California to do radiation schools. I've got Brian Ramsey is scheduling class. We've got some other guys that are getting ready to come in and start doing classes here. I'm going to take my 1-day class and turn it into a 2, because we're going to take valves and fittings and pumps, and we're going to tear them apart. We're going to let guys see how this stuff works inside.
Awesome.
Because if you know how it works inside, you're going to be a lot better off to deal with it on scene. So we're going to expand it out and do a lot of stuff that they couldn't normally do anywhere else.
Good stuff.
Awesome stuff.
Yeah, good stuff heading Ron's way.
I love it. And as we usually close the show, which doesn't make any sense, we'll see you next Tuesday. Not really. Well, best of luck.